This is going to be my weekly diary for the next year. And the main reason I'm doing this is because every single week, I think there are some key things that I'm learning. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm building a business, I've been building a business or different businesses for the past 5 years. And one thing that I forget when things get really hard is that things have been hard before. It feels like when things get hard that this is like the first time that something is hard. And I feel like I'm doing something wrong. And one of the key things that I know is failure is a part of the process. And things being hard is a part of the process, you know? And so every single week I'm going to give 3 things that I have taken away from this week. And I'm also going to say how the week felt. Because I'm not going to lie, over the last 5 years, I've had a lot of ups and I've had a lot of downs in terms of just how I feel. And those ups and downs are not always actually correlated to how well the business is actually doing. So sometimes I will feel like a complete and utter failure when, you know, on paper, my business or life is actually going super well. And I'll just feel like worthless and I'll feel like everything is going absolutely terribly. And sometimes I'll feel like the most successful person in the entire world. Like I feel like everything is an opportunity and everything's a possibility. And obviously as a result of that, I'll also create more possibility for myself. And that isn't necessarily also correlated with the business going well. Sometimes even when things are going badly, I'll see so much opportunity in the world. And recently, I've gone through so many ups and downs, especially over the past year, in terms of the business, in terms of personal life. And I want to remind myself of the fact that this entire, just life in its entirety, but also building a business, is such a journey, and that there are ups and downs, and that when things are down, that's okay. You just have to, like my dad wrote this in one of his like notes. He wrote a lot of notes about when he was building his business, and it was like держи удар, which is like hold the hit. Like sometimes things go badly, not even things. Sometimes your mentality gets bad, and you just have to hold the hit. You have to just be okay with that. But beyond that, I'm Joe Dispenza coded, and I'm, you know, very spiritual in how I look at the world. And there's specific ways I like to look at the world. I like to see opportunity in things. I like to see the opportunity in the adversity. I like to see, you know, I don't mind feeling bad emotions because I don't think not feeling bad emotions is part of the journey. I think the journey is feeling the bad emotions but not having them be stuck there. And so this is also a resource for in however many years, 5 to 10 years, when Martini and I have built our empire, when things are in a crazy place, I know I'll still go through these ups and downs. And I want to be able to look back at this and see that even when we were at comparatively, obviously right now, I'm at the lowest that I'll ever be because I'm going to keep building my business up and up and up. And I want to be able to look back at these lessons. And this is a diary for myself. So today's the 30th of May, 2026. I've just turned 26 on the 19th of May. I'm 5 years into building my business. And this past week was peaceful. But that being said, I have went through a really, really tough time, honestly, in the past few months where I really wasn't sure what I was doing. And I honestly reached a point where I felt really worthless, which is really strange because I don't derive, I know logically that I don't derive my worth from what happens outside of me. I'm very aware of the fact that worth, that how you perceive the world, like everything comes from inside. Joe Dispenza coded, right? And yet I felt so low because I took like a month off of work, and because I got into a really negative mindset just before I took this month off, and I took a month off of work, and without work I literally couldn't figure out like who I was or what my like worth was or why I was doing these things, and I felt like such a failure without work, which is crazy because I never want to derive my worth from my work. I never want to derive my worth from what I'm able to achieve on the outside, and yet my worth is so, like, I could see just from these 20 days that I took off, I could see that I was tying my worth and myself so closely to what I was able to produce in the physical world. So my first reminder for myself is do not fucking tie your worth to what you are producing. Your productivity does not equate to your worth. And the more that you tie your productivity to your worth, the more worthless you will feel. Like, I got to a point where I felt so worthless just because I was taking time off. And that's insane. Lesson number 2, and I've had this as a huge reminder over this past week and over this past month as well. I'm doing a monthly update right now because this is my first one of these diary entries. One of the biggest reminders is that change comes from internal. The changes I want to see in my physical reality, in the real world, in the material world, are all going to come from how I change myself internally. And I think because I was having such a negative outlook on everything, it didn't matter how much we were earning, it didn't matter how well things were doing on like a fundamental level, it didn't matter how many opportunities we got. I got into this really terrible mindset of always thinking it's not enough and always having an expectation for so much more, and then the reality, comparatively to their expectation, they weren't matching, which was creating this like sense of me feeling so worthless because I couldn't reach the expectations I had set onto myself. And because I couldn't reach them, I kept viewing things more and more and more negatively. And the more I viewed things negatively, the more I almost self-sabotaged, the more I made situations worse, the more I didn't see the opportunity in things that were around me. So my second reminder for myself is go internal. And the thing I have to say here is, everybody says that, right? Change from the inside to see the change on the outside, or at least everybody who's in the self-growth or Joe Dispenza or spirituality space. They don't always tell you how to do it. It's a saying that's like thrown around, kind of like believe in yourself, but nobody will tell you how to believe in yourself. And this is like an issue I saw with so much of like the personal growth space. It was always like, oh, do this, do that. The advice is all out there, but nobody tells you how. Like, what physical steps am I taking in order to do this? The way you change how you feel internally. The number one thing I do, remind yourself, like what is it, like the neurons that fire together, wire together, re-educate yourself. Like, knowledge is the precursor to change. Re-educate yourself on how you change your mind. Re-educate yourself on how you change your thoughts. And as a reminder right now, the way that you change your thoughts, one way, like physical way, is meditation. Waking up in the morning. Most times when we wake up in the morning, and this is a direct quote from Joe Dispenza because I've been binging his lectures recently. But one way that you change is by literally every single morning doing a meditation, for example, for 30 minutes or an hour, where you focus on the future that you do want to have and you focus on the thoughts that you do want to have. And then throughout the day, your job is to stay as conscious as possible to the thoughts. So if throughout the day you are like, if you do a meditation even for half an hour where you're just focusing on having these positive thoughts, or you're focusing on this positive outcome, that's not going to then translate to a change in yourself unless you then notice every single time during the day that you fall off kilter. And I noticed today we did a launch of one of our business products and we didn't get as many sales as my expectation. And I noticed the second I woke up, I immediately thought of the fact that like, oh, it didn't work out, such a failure. And that is the exact moment in which you can make the change. The second that you have that negative thought, that is when you can become conscious to the negative thought and say, hey, like, I don't want to think this way. Like, why am I thinking this way? If I carry on thinking this way, every single time something doesn't hit my expectations, I'm going to give up. And I personally will never give up, but like, but you know what I mean? Like, if you keep having this perspective that every single time something doesn't live up to like your highest expectations, that you are a failure, or that it didn't go right, or that it's never going to work out, that's going to take a toll on you. Versus every single time, even if something doesn't go right, if you're able to change the way that you react to it in that moment, you will find better ideas of how to improve it, versus wallowing in this and then maybe repeating the same mistake, which is kind of what I feel like I've been doing. I feel like every single time something hasn't gone up to my expectations of myself are insanely high. So every single time something happens and it's not like the best possible outcome, I get so upset. But instead of getting upset, emotionally regulate. So like, do any emotion regulation tool. You can do tapping, you can do like regulated breathing, whatever it is. Firstly, regulate, like bring your heart rate down. This is not a fight or flight situation. This is just you going through life, and life inevitably, if you have a very high goal, you're going to have to go through certain things. Like if you want to be really successful in business, inevitably you're going to hit failure. There has to be something I'm okay with versus something that immediately throws me off balance. Otherwise, the world's never going to give me more opportunities. I'm never going to find myself more opportunities because my body's going to recognize, oh, every single time I do a launch, every single time I try a new thing and I fail, it really like throws me off kilter, throws me into fight or flight. And of course, my mind is not going to see the opportunities. Instead, it's going to be like, no, get the fuck away from any opportunity that might result in failure, because I have such an intense reaction to that failure. So I need to get used to, not even failure, but I need to get used to, if things aren't going my way or if things don't go how I expect them to go, like my reaction needs to be still calm. It's okay for it not to go how I expected, or it's okay for things not to go well. If I react calmly, if it doesn't end up meaning anything about me, if I'm able to get my body into a state where every time something doesn't go my way, I'm perfectly calm and all I do is think of the opportunity and think of what I can do next or what I can change to improve it next time, I'm so much more likely to succeed than the way I'm thinking right now, which is where every time something goes wrong, I'm in this like fight or flight, my heart rate increases, I feel so bad about myself. That is not a condition, that's not a mental condition for success. That is a mental condition for failure. For me to carry on being scared of trying and for me to never see the opportunity. The third reminder is you cannot think of the solution to your problem from the same state as the problem occurred. So, for example, right now, let's say a problem occurred in my business or like this launch didn't go according to plan. I'm not going to be able to think of the solution to this issue from the same state of mind, from the same state of thinking as when I caused the problem. I need to get myself to a different state of thinking. So I need to get myself to a solution-oriented state of thinking. And every single problem in life has the solution, right? Yin and yang, like everything exists together. So this problem does inevitably have the solution. It's just me in my current state. I do not have access to that solution. I'm not able to think of it because I'm in this state of mind. And so this plays into the second thing too. My camera died. So this plays into the second thing too, which is in order to find the solution to a problem, I have got to be able to get to a better state of mind so I can see the solution. So this past week was peaceful, mainly because I kind of came to all these conclusions in the past like week or two, which is like carry on existing and make the stuff that I do have going in my life, just keep putting more focus onto them, keep doing them better, keep improving every single week. Because I think to an extent as well, I was kind of just cruising before. I was like not improving the stuff that I was doing. So keep making it bigger, keep improving it, and work on changing your inner world. Like if I want so much change in the outer world, the most important thing that I could do is right now make sure that I feel whole, make sure that I feel happy, make sure that I see the success in my life, make sure that I see the positivity and all of like the blessings and the opportunity and all of like the things that I have to be so unbelievably grateful for. And that's why I've been feeling peaceful this week. And that's why last month I haven't been feeling peaceful, because I kind of feel like I know what to do next. Okay, this is Diary 1.